All right, so check this out. This little filly came in because of contracted tendons. She's knuckling that ankle forward no matter what. She grew just a little too fast. So what we did here, if you can see that IV catheter, we put that in the day before this, and we've been running an antibiotic called oxytetracycline. And kind of a side effect of that is it helps relax the muscles and relax those tendons. So we're going to give her that, and then we're going to splint this leg to hold that back and let those muscles and tendons stretch out. A lot of times we have to fully anesthetize these horses and lay them down, but this little filly was so great to work with, we gave her a little bit of sedation. So we're going to wrap the front leg since they're normal, and we're going to build a splint from that. So this on the front leg, even though it's completely normal, Autumn's going to wrap it, and then we'll build a cast splint conforming to that front leg and transfer it to the rear. You can actually see in this one, in the lower right-hand corner, the boxiness of that ankle. That growth plate is really inflamed. So she came in a few weeks ago, and we've managed the diet, decrease the caloric intake, kind of slow down the growing and inflammation of those bones. And then between that, the IV Oxytet to relax the muscle and tendons, and the splint, we're hopeful that in a few days, everything has relaxed and that ankle's dropping normal. We also have our farrier, Steve Summershine, coming this week. So if we have to put a glue-on shoe with a toe extension, we can. But you never know if we need that or not. So before we go to that trouble and expense, we're going to try just the splints and the leg wrap here. So this is a good example of a leg wrap too, where we're getting this really tight, but as you can see, she put the pressure across the front of the cannon bone. And since we're just using it as a mold, we don't have to do the 2 layers of vet wrap. So this is just a temporary bandage. And you can see her ankles knuckling forward there. That's just her standing there at rest. So this is cast material here. So it's fiberglass cast, just like you get if you break your arm, except we're not going to apply it that way. We'll mold it. We'll make a sheet and then mold it to that leg and let it set up, and then transfer it to the back leg. And then hopefully it'll shove that ankle far enough back. This stuff can be a little finicky to work with. Definitely want to wear gloves. It's very sticky.
Put some gloves on. You may or may not have to help me.
So just going to drape it along the back first to get our length set. You want to go down just about to the heels. So now that I know how long to make it, we don't have to do it all against her leg. We can do it standing, make it a little bit easier. You can wrap it around 2 screwdrivers and do that, but we just kind of folded it here. And you can see the little filly's sedated just so she stands still, but she's not really in that much pain. We've got her on an NSAID too. So she's just a really, really nice filly to work with. You can tell the owners have messed with her a lot, because a lot of these we end up dropping fully asleep under IV anesthesia.
You got Elasticon ready.
So I'm just making the cast material where I can lay it on the back of that leg, and it'll mold to the normal anatomy of that front leg. And then we'll tape it in place and let it dry. So contracted tendons we deal with a lot when horses are first born too. And most of the time with those, we can do 1 big IV dose of this antibiotic that she's on.
Just get ready to wrap this leg like you normally would.
So I'm going to mold this to the back of that wrap to mimic her leg there. And we'll use this elastic adhesive bandage to hold it in place, and that's what's making the split for the back legs. But look at those. Look how they're knuckling forward. The growth plate's in flames. So the hope is by the end of this week, when we take these off, she can come off the IVs and just be wrapped. And as those tendons and muscles stretch out, where she'll be normal in the back.
Beautiful.
Just make sure and kind of push your ankle back and get that bend in the splint we want. And then everything else will hold it in place there. We'll let that dry for a few minutes and we can transfer it to the back leg. That stuff's super sticky. Like Spider-Man. Look at those ankles. And this is pretty common. They just get a little too much nutrition a little too fast, and the bones outgrow the soft tissue structures on the back of the leg, and it acts like a bowstring, and then the ankle just knuckles forward.
So then we'll put that on the back leg.
And we're going to shoot some radiographs when we do this, just to make sure we got it locked back. 'Cause with the bandage on there, sometimes it's hard to tell.
Do you feel how warm that is?
And just make her kind of stand on that leg a little bit more.
It's a chemical reaction.
Rear left.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Harper done like the handprints and stuff. And then, yeah. It's not one of those yet. You ready?
I'm ready. That's ready.
So we're going to shoot this back one before we transfer it. We already had some x-rays, but I just wanted to kind of double check and see where we're at, kind of before and after.
Let's do a straight lateral.
Digital x-rays. Within seconds, we've got our films. It's almost cheating.
Okay. Now go ahead and wrap.
So now we'll wrap the
too
back
fast.
leg, just like we normally would for a support bandage or
Yeah, no,
an
that's
injury
fine.
or something. So here, a little wrapping tip always come from the inside out across the front, and you want to make sure you cover the heel bulbs down there too. These are just a combine cotton roll, we call them. You want to get lots of padding on
If you
there.
get it, once you get it wrapped, we'll see. You can wrap it pretty tight. We'll see how good just the wrap does.
And then we'll take an x-ray in a second. And sometimes, if they're subtle, you can get by with just a leg wrap, but it usually doesn't pull it back enough. So watch a sheet. She'll get it started there, get a couple laps, and just kind of roll around the back and then pull across the front. And you want the tension across the front because it's mainly just that cannon bone and the extensor tendon, and you don't want to wrap too tight on those flexor tendons in the back.
She looks good in pink.
I think pink is her color. So that splint's getting pretty hard under that elasticon on the front leg now.
So how often do you have to change these splints?
Not very. If we do it right the first time. That's why I'm using the front leg. We'll take a radiograph and see just what the bandaging does. Well, a lot of times it doesn't get it back far enough.
And this wrap will stay on for a couple days. We'll take it off and reevaluate when the farrier's here and determine whether we need glue-on shoes. But we'll take a radiograph now so you guys can
Ready?
see what just the bandaging does, if it does anything. I don't think it changes this one much. But with the digital radiographs, you can just crank them out.
Probably close.
So why not take one, right? So it may be scooted
that
back
maybe
a
helped
little,
a
but
little.
not enough. We'll
enough.
move that splint here in a second and see.
get some
But you
gloves
see the
on.
little, the bone on the back of that leg, and then right in front of that on the long bone,
Pretty
that dark
close.
line. That's the growth plate, which was a little inflamed, which is why she was on the NSAIDs leading up to this. And we'll keep her on those just so she stays comfortable as everything's stretching out. She liked her sleepy shot. And there's our splint.
Okay.
So we'll put that on the leg and then push that ankle back, and then get her leg to hold to that splint using that elastic adhesive bandage there.
Jade. So we'll have to probably take both of us to just suck it down to it with the or the elasticon. Just right there. Yeah.
So we'll do this just like you'd wrap any other way. Maybe a little bit tighter, but we've got all that padding on there. You can already see it going back to a more normal alignment compared to that right hind there. So if you got a filly that, or a little weanling that's growing, you just got to make sure you don't feed them too much, too fast, or this can happen. That's why we really restricted her diet in the weeks prior to this to kind of slow that down. That's why she looks a little thin in this one, but that's what we wanted. That's what we instructed the owners to do, and they did a great job. And they've done a great job messing with her because we were able to do everything. I'd go back and install by myself and run the fluids. She'd just stand there. Great patient.
Let's see how we did.
Then we'll take an x-ray here and see if we got that back where we want it.
Beautiful. Survey says.
And there it is.
It's not too shabby. Awesome.
Wow.
We'll pull up and side by side here, and
Okay,
you can tell the
let's do it again.
big difference the splint's made. So that'll help
Give a
hold
little
that
more
back and
wrap
stretch
down
out
that
those
very
muscles
bottom
and
of that.
tendons in the back of that leg. So same song, different verse. We're going to do the exact same thing for the right hind. You can see her IV catheter there.
Just kind of keep her weight over here where she's standing on that a little.
And I'm having Jade kind of just make sure she's putting most of her weight on that left front to keep that ankle down, since we're molding the splint to it. Determine the length here, then we'll make it standing up so it's a little bit easier.
Dropping it. Take this side. Remember that time we put a cast on a dog?
Yep. Dog now has 3 legs.
Whoops. Okay, you got your elasticon ready?
We just do the back of the leg because if you try to cast the whole leg like that, you end up with you get bandage sores and stuff like that. So
Okay, Autumn.
this technique for ones like her works really good. And rarely do we have to do this to newborns. We'll just run them the IV dose. Make sure that's all the way down to the floor.
That's beautiful.
And while that's setting up, we'll take a radiograph at that right hind before we wrap it.
Oh, darling. That's easier than laying her down and recovering her in here too. We're gonna fix this filly.
How do you do it? You use the back
You just wrap it like that, and then when you cast it, grab their toe and shove the fetlock back. And if she wasn't so well mannered, we might have had to do that. But I did one Saturday morning in here by myself. Wendell.
You needed 6 arms?
I took a picture afterwards. The whole place was littered with failed splints. I got her though. Then if we redo it in a day or two, we ought to be able to get it back a little bit more too. But
That's still so much better.
yeah, she's on Equiox. You gave her that this morning, right?
I gave her that this morning.
Great.
It's gonna be a little sore, and
Yeah, it's gonna be a little painful.
did it help her hops straighten it out a little bit, or is that just her?
That's just her. We can probably go ahead and wrap the right hind.
You want to take a picture first?
Yeah, I do. I forgot we hadn't done it. Let's do that, then wrap it, and that'll be set up. What's it Ace Ventura? Sure is hot in these rhinos. That's how I feel about these lead vests. What happened here? Like a slinky.
Hannah, you know how to check yourself out. You're bored.
Okay. Doing pretty well, Stina. Okay, let's wrap it on. No, we're okay. We'll wrap it and see what wrapping does, and then
Ooh, is that one worse?
depends on how she's standing. I think she's better than she was yesterday before all this, so.
I do too.
I'm glad we don't have to lay her down.
I feel like wrapping can be very complicated laying down.
Half times I would hold the leg up for you.
Autumn's just making sure there's no dirt or anything that'd be stuck
Yeah.
under that bandage that could rub a sore.
This is way better. when they have a normal leg to use.
And again, she's coming from the inside out.
Lay them down. And that one horse we had, that racehorse filly that had Lawsonia, I put on this, not for tendons, nothing, but by the time we took her catheter out, all of her ankles are about to touch. She straightened back up.
So she straightened back up. Will she regress on this?
No, she shouldn't, unless they feed her too much.
Keep feeding her something?
Yeah. I'm going to push on her hip a little, Autumn.
Okay.
Help you out some.
Just holding her left hind up a little bit, so she'll bear a little weight on that right and drop that fetlock. That didn't do much good.
I don't think that we can splint then radiograph because it's not going to change much. As she relaxes, it'll even suck it back more to that splint. So when you have SD cards, right now it's just recording what's big. It's awesome. All right, Autumn, get some gloves and another elasticon.
Wrap off, so you're going to get a good reaction, I think. $23. 25-20.
Beautiful.
All right, so the next splint's hard as a rock and ready to put on that right hind. Then we'll take an x-ray afterwards and see how we did. In the meantime, she's going to get her IV antibiotics twice a day, which she's been phenomenal for. One person can do it.
Oh, darling.
I wish they were all this easy to work on.
Just get to start wrapping. Once you get it a little tight, I'll push it back.
So we'll have Autumn just kind of get the elasticon on there and get it in place. Then I'll push it back to get that limb in normal.
See if you can pick up that right front, Jade. Yeah. She'll bear a little
I'm not
more
wanting
weight
to stand on
this
it too
one. That'll
much,
be
so we're going to
helpful.
try to pick up that front leg and see if she'll bear a little more
Still
weight
doesn't
on it.
wanna.
The right hind's probably the one that's a little more affected
Okay.
than the left, so we're just trying to get her to stand on it, make this.
Okay, let go of that one, Jade. I know, girl. Okay, keep going.
She's also sedated, so she feels a little wobbly. But even that, she's handling this way better than some. This is something you definitely need several hands for.
There we go. There you go. Just go as tight as you can. That'll be fine.
Finish this. You go over that.
as the tendons relax and the ankle goes back a little bit more, that
Want just
elastic
a partial?
adhesive bandage will hold it, kind of keep pulling it as she relaxes too.
Get your knife. Sweet.
We put a little extra on this one since it needed a little more support. It'll be like Christmas in a couple days when we take these off and see how she's walking.
Okay, let's see how we did.
Yeah, we'll shoot x-ray just to make sure we got it. It looks like it, but it never hurts to make sure.
No, you're good. Okay,
Boom.
I can probably tighten that one up a little tomorrow. We can probably tighten that one a little more tomorrow.
So that dark line on that one long bone there, that's her growth plate, or the epiphysis.
I take this off the front leg.
Yeah, just wait a second. Let Autumn get it so you can hold. Don't do anything silly.
We'll put them up side by side here, a little before and after.
That
Look at
looks better.
That's gonna work.
Okay.
Then we'll unwrap the
Sleepy.
front one because it was just our mold.
If she's sore tomorrow, we can laser her.
Okay, yeah.
She'll probably be a little sore.
So with the IVs, she's getting a pretty good dose. And the way that works on muscles, one thing we got to keep in mind is her diaphragm is also one giant muscle. So if you give that, evidently I can juggle. If you give the medicine too fast, you can actually paralyze that diaphragm and they'll stop breathing. So we'll see how she walks here with these. I can't imagine any problems out of her. She's such a great patient. But they sometimes take a few funny steps. And then the plan is to continue the IV antibiotics to facilitate those muscles relaxing. Maybe the glue on shoes, we'll see. Also got her on an NSAID just for the pain. But the farrier is going to be here in 2 days. So we'll take these off. And we'll see how we did. So that'll be in part 2 of the video. So stay tuned and we'll see how good we did.